AI. I mean, we hear a lot about it, but it's the sort of thing that you think, oh, that's something that's perhaps happening in the future. It's something that, I don't know, technical geeky people need to worry about. It's not going to affect the likes of you and I, but I think we might be wrong in that regard. Somebody who is possibly also in the category of a technical geeky type of person. I mean that as a compliment, bro. Justin Smith joining me in the studio. Kia ora.
Hatamari, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Now, AI is something which will affect all of us, but perhaps you're front of the queue in regard. In fact, you went to an AI conference on Friday, I understand. That's how you roll.
Oh,
right?
man. And how good was it? You weren't there.
I wasn't.
I will tell you how good it was.
Tell me.
Microsoft AI Summit, just this Friday been. And it was really interesting to hear from a lot of the executive team at Microsoft and a number of organizations, big ones here in New Zealand, the likes of Air New Zealand, Genesis Energy, and so on. And just hearing actually beyond this idea of AI, how they're actually implementing it. And so that's what's been really, really exciting because it's here.
Hey, you're excited, but you would be, of course. Can I be cynical? I think it might be my gifting, but let's jump into it because we've heard this before.
Yes.
You know, VR, that's going to be the new way we do things. We're going to all be wearing goggles all the time. Google Glass, anyone remember that? Not many, honestly. We'll all have flying cars by 2015. We've been overpromised in this space beforehand. Is AI another one of those things where they go, oh yeah, they say it's going to be a thing, but actually it's just people trying to talk up the market?
No, and this is one of the main takeaways that from having been at the summit on Friday and seeing actually the implementation, and there was a fantastic talk from a gentleman, Aaron Bjork, who spoke about the idea of crossing the chasm. It comes from a book written by Jeffrey A. Moore called Crossing the Chasm. And like you pointed out, there's a lot of these technologies that have sort of gone through this. There's a bell curve in terms of adoption, right? VR, AR, some of these exciting new frontier techs, they're still yet to reach that point where they've crossed the chasm of, you know, your early adopters, your sort of nerds and geeks like myself, and into mainstream adoption. And the thing with AI tools, generative AI, the likes of your ChatGPT and so on, I don't think people realize just how quickly and how far past that chasm AI has become, because not only is it here and it's come, left of field very quickly, but it is absolutely here to stay now. So
some people perhaps are thinking, gosh, it's scary. I don't really understand it. It seems a little bit dangerous to me. Shouldn't there be more checks and balances? So you know what? I'm just going to ignore it and pretend it's not a thing. And hey, that's a strategy. It's not necessarily an effective one. AI coming ready or not, right?
Yeah, and I mean, there's been you might be familiar with the term, of we're building the rocket as we're riding it.
Yeah, exactly.
That is absolutely what's happening with AI. And of course, because of that, there's a whole bunch of uncertainty around the potential risks that are yet to get fleshed out, and what checks and balances, as you say, need to be put in place. That's definitely being fleshed out as we go through. But the speed of development with this tech is just unlike anything that we've had in terms of the previous technological leaps that we've had in recent decades. So it's fast.
It's happening ready or not, but this does need some level of adoption. I mean, or is it saying, well, no, AI is taking over anyway. We don't need to adopt that. That's just what is going to happen. Something which you said to me in a little bit of a teaser for this, that AI versus apps. Now, apps is something that we've all gotten used to. In fact, for a lot of us, we can't really remember how we did life without certain apps to help us get around or choose food or whatever we use apps for. But AI could be replacing or at least changing the way in which we do apps, AI versus apps, perhaps?
Which is a really fascinating thing to sort of think about and understand. So to give some base, understanding, we've gone through technological leaps, the mainframe computer, and then personal computing, the ability for you to have that level of computation in your own home, the World Wide Web. Now our personal computers can talk to each other. And then we had the cloud, which enabled, thanks to that World Wide Web, the ability for, even more computational power.
Now that's all in our pockets, right?
Totally. Smartphones was the next one. And so on those smartphones, you had apps. Of course, I want to achieve this one thing. Maybe I want to tune in to Rhema and listen via my smartphone. You need an app for that. Someone who has built something that is already plugged into what we are putting out and what you want to receive. In a world of AI, the possibilities are just mind-blowing. And an amazing line that Aaron shared was that natural language is the new user interface.
Wow.
So what that means is, if anyone's ever played with ChatGPT before, you can go there and you have a conversation. Hey, ChatGPT, how's your day going? It'll give you an answer as if it's a human. And then you go, well, I want you to give me some information. It goes, okay, well, I'll go away to the vast amount of information and data that it has access to and come back to you in natural language to say, hey, Andrew, here's the answer to that question you have. Now, that's just an AI tool operating on the limited data that it has available to it.
Yeah.
In a world where artificial intelligence begins to be given access to more and more video, audio, image, and text information, you now have the potential for a simple AI tool to go and achieve the things that apps are doing for us. Ergo, apps themselves potentially become redundant for a lot of basic things that we use them for currently.
Now, apps in some ways, they're kind of like our smartphone butlers. We can go to them and say, hey, do this function for me, or hey, I don't really understand what's happening over here. Translate it into icons or something that I can use.
Yeah.
But we can have an actual conversation with AI. Let's cut out the middleman.
Yeah.
Apps, and in particular, people that develop apps, are perhaps a little bit redundant.
Well, there will always be need for certain apps for certain things.
Okay.
So, the likes of your Facebook, potentially, it's going to be hard for an artificial intelligence tool to replace some of that stuff.
Yeah.
However, for the basic, functions of society, communicating with people, retrieving information, asking questions of it, apps are going to become a really interesting space. And
although I'm just thinking Facebook.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if you could get AI to respond to all of the posts from people that you don't know that well, or friends and family that you don't want to talk to, and say, could you comment on all of their posts and like the appropriate number of them and put some comment in there? I'm sure somebody's already doing this, right?
Or perhaps even better, you go the other way around and say, hey, can I just get a brief summary on what's happening in my wider family, and just give me the top line, who's got something exciting? Did you know your Aunt Janice in Hokitika has just got a new dog? Fantastic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen it on my feed.
Not going to scroll through all of the stuff. No more doom scrolling. AI just picks the best things, or perhaps a little bit more scarily, the things that it thinks are the best things that we need to know. It's doing some of the filtering for us rather than us choosing what we're engaging with, perhaps.
Yeah, and even as you can see just in this conversation, the potential for, ideas and concepts and implementations that we've not necessarily considered until now, the sky's the limit. So again, super exciting space right now.
Super exciting space. And hey, if you think this is a chasm you're not going to cross, then don't worry. You can ask AI to cross that chasm for you, holding your hand as we head off into the future together. Justin, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us.
Anytime.